I'm disgusted that an Air Force veteran and a Capitol police officer lost their lives along with 3 other Americans. And today, I'm even more disgusted that Democrats and even many Republicans are now blaming the entire tragic turn of events on our president. Get real. I call bullshit. What happened in our nation's capital wasn't caused by a speech or even this corrupt election. No, my fellow patriots, it had been brewing for years and years. Why? Because millions upon millions of conservative Americans have felt disenfranchised and forgotten by their elected leaders. And if the out-of-touch members of Congress, along with their corporate media lapdogs, were actually in touch with the concerns of millions of everyday, hardworking Americans, they'd know this. And oh, by the way, if you want to start pointing fingers, let's go there. Do you think that we have all forgotten about the constant attacks and threats that you've made against this president and his supporters over the last 4 years, which have stirred up violence? A few.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up. And they...
Who caused the violence? Seeing those direct messages of hate and a push for violence against our president and his supporters over the last 4 years is the true definition of hypocrisy, especially while we watch these same people this week spew their outrage about what happened in our nation's capital. It absolutely disgusts me to my core. You hypocrites out there are crying your crocodile tears for what took place on Wednesday. Yet where in the hell were you the last year as thousands of Americans were being terrorized in their own communities by violent thugs and rioters? You know who you are. You are the ones with blood on your hands. And not just the blood that was shed and the lives lost this week, but the countless lives that were destroyed and lost in 2020. And now today, both sides of the aisle, with the few exceptions on the right, are now screaming for the president to resign or be impeached. I would totally expect this from the Democrats. But now you have Republicans joining in with this nonsense. Really? Where's your backbone? Where's your grit? I'm speaking to you, Romney, McConnell, Graham, the list goes on. This president has done something that you lifelong globalist politicians have long forgotten to do. He puts us first. His policies put America first. And for the past 4 years, you've remained in power only because you've been clinging to his coattails. Well, guess what? I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. The millions of Americans who have supported this president won't forget your actions. And as far as the members of the GOP now so worried about trying to save or reconstruct your party, how dare you? Don't you get it yet? We don't care about your damn party. The two-party system is broken. That's why Donald J. Trump was elected. How quickly you forget. So while you're scrambling, Rand Paul and others, to rebuild the GOP, remember this. We had a president who remembered his duty